showing up today for the 10th anniversary of the minimum compensation ordinance. It was signed into law October 8th, 2000. By the city's own estimates, it benefited 30,000 workers, bringing up their wages and providing 12 paid days off per year. It benefited workers at the airport, home care workers, workers at nonprofit agencies, and workers at for-profit city service contractors. And what was groundbreaking about the measure was that it began a movement that led to a whole slew of other wage and benefit laws uniquely to San Francisco. It led to the Healthcare Accountability Ordinance, led to the Minimum Wage Ordinance, the Healthcare Security Ordinance, and the Sick Leave Ordinance. And today we're going to be celebrating the gains that we made and also announcing what the next steps are and honoring those who were a part of making history. I want to introduce now my counterpart, campaign co-director of the Living Wage Coalition, David Frias.
Thank you all that are here this new time for this important press conference on the 10th year anniversary of the Minimum Compensation Ordinance. And it's really a tribute to all the people who were involved back then. I wasn't back then, but as far as the future is concerned, I'll definitely be helping out. And there's definitely a lot more improvements that need to be done, in particular with the community jobs program. But for this occasion, you know, definitely all you members that made history definitely has and will continue to impact the low-wage workers, which there's too many in this times. The economy is still struggling and people are still looking for jobs. And so we realized 10 years just how important that was, and without that, how screwed up we'd pretty much be. So I thank you all for being here. And let's get going with this press conference.
State Assembly member Tom Amiano, who was at the time a supervisor who was the original sponsor of the Living Wage Ordinance, his office informed us that he was going to try to be here depending on where they were in recuperating in the state budget process. And evidently he's not been able to make it. I'd like to introduce State Senator Leland, who also at the time was a member of the Board of Supervisors and one of the original backers of the Living Wage Ordinance.
I think Tom Amiano's doing bad. You know, he's a lot older than me. Quote me on that. You know, Tom and I were a team. He brought up the ideas, and I had to find the money to pay for it. That's our relationship. But I want to congratulate Carl and so many individuals who are part of that particular effort. And that effort really started not only a movement, but a model process as to how we bring different people together of diverse opinions and trying to then come to a consensus as to how do we then move forward on a rather difficult issue. If you recall, kind of 10 years ago, it was a different environment. I mean, there were many individuals in City Hall that did not think that we could, in fact, raise a wage level, let alone talking about a living wage, because there was always that talk about somehow if you do that, you were going to hurt business, and business was going to flee. But then at the same time, if you don't take care of the workers, there is no business whatsoever. And so those were the kinds of paradigms we were dealing with. How do you take care of workers and then also take care of business? And it was rather confrontational then, but because of all of you putting a lot of pressure on the Board of Supervisors and all of us and staying the course and saying we've got to somehow come to a solution. You know, out of that particular effort of the living wage effort came the living wage task force. And that was the embodiment of how you build consensus on difficult issue for the city and county of San Francisco. I'm just proud to be a small part of that. You know, Carl and his team and all of you really provided the impetus, the pressure, and the sort of energy that got us to where we are right now. And so I want to just again say thank you very much for this celebration. There are many, many other things that we need to do in these tight economic times. There's so many pressures now to just simply take us back to those bad days. And we cannot go back. We've got to continue to move forward and making even better strides for workers, not only decent wages, but decent benefits and future for us and for our families. Thank you very, very much.
When the Living Wage Coalition was founded in 1998, it was by 5 presidents of local unions and representatives of the San Francisco Labor Council and 5 executive directors of community-based organizations and faith-based organizations. And with an eye towards developing the leadership of low-wage workers to transform into an organization of, by, and for low-wage workers. I'd like to introduce one of the founding members of the Living Wage Coalition and president of the San Francisco Labor Council and president of Unite Here Local 2, Mike Casey.
All right, well, it's great to be here. We have come a long way in the last 10 years. I remember when we first started launching this, we were all unified, and I know folks remember, Barry certainly does, but there was a time when we were split during the course of actually getting this thing enacted because of the Willie Brown, Tom Amiano campaign, and we agreed that we would not get in each other's way. We agreed that we would, at the end of that election, come back together and make sure that whoever was the winner of the election, we would all be unified around one thing, and that was the living wage. And as Carl mentioned, it ushered in a whole host of other worker-friendly legislation. That legislation, however, that was ushered in could in fact be threatened if we don't elect the progressive supervisors we need to elect in the coming weeks when November 2nd comes around. You need to make sure that the folks who are going to sit in the chambers in City Hall are going to have the same values and the same objectives that were first enacted when we passed the living wage. And in fact, I'm all ears because I want to hear what the next steps are. I got an idea. The number for today is 14, right? Isn't that the number of strikeouts that Tim Lincecum had last night? I say we move the living wage up to $14 an hour.